If someone said something which was very disrespectful against the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and did the Sahaba ever stop to question the intention of these people? There's one occasion when a man disrespected the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His name was Zul Khawaisra. He went to the Prophet alayhi salam whilst they were distributing the war booty that they had gathered from a battle that they were victorious in. And he questioned the Prophet alayhi salam's justice. And he said, "I'dil ya Muhammad, be just in how you distribute." And Sayyidina Umar was sat there, and other companions were sat there. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's companion Umar bin Khattab said, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, give me permission that I can chop this, that I may chop this hypocrite's head off." These were his words. "I'din li an adriba unka hadha al-munafiq." Give me permission to chop this munafiq's head off, this hypocrite's head off. And Sayyidina Rasulullah said, "No, sit down." Now, why would the companions resort to an action such as that we would consider capital punishment of today's time? Why would they resort to this? Because they knew this questioning Rasulullah's justice is deemed as an insult, is deemed blasphemous. And the punishment for blasphemy is what? In this country, if you commit blasphemy, it will be kind of capital punishment. Again, that capital punishment law has been lifted. In other countries, it's still applicable. It would be capital punishment. And therefore, that was their form of capital punishment in that time. And that's why Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anh said, "Give me permission." And the Prophet Islam said no. And the Islam explained to him that if I am not just, who's going to be just? After Allah Almighty, the most just is me. There is no one more just than me after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After understanding that and explaining that, what did that person Zul Khawaisra do? He turned his back to Rasulullah and walked off. And then Nabi Sallallahu started to explain to the Sahaba that, from this man, there will come people they will apparently be more stronger on the religion than yourselves. Their prayers will be better than your prayer. Their fasting will be better than your fasting. Their hajj will be better than your hajj. When they read the Quran, their recitation will be better than your recitation. But everything they will do will be above their necks. Will be above here. There will be nothing within their hearts. يَنْقُلُونَ عَنِ الدِّينِ كَمَا يَنْقُلُونَ السَّحَبَ عَنِ الرَّمِيِّ. They will leave the religion as fast as an arrow would leave its bow. Everything would be external. There will be nothing within. Externally, and Sayyidina Anas described him and said, this man, his description was as follows, that he had a very long beard. He had a bald head, no hair in his head. He had a moustache that was shaved, and he's even said that his trousers were halfway up. Wallahi, these are the words. In Sahih Muslim you'll find Babu Zikr al-Khawarij, in the chapter in relation to the description of the Khawarij, this is how they were described. So this is how Zul Khawaisra al-Timi looked. He had really chinky style eyes, wide forehead, and he had no hair, big beard, trousers were up. And they will go around and they will tell people, and this is what they will do. They will have better praise than yours, fast than yours, all of these things. But in their heart, there will be nothing. And where is Iman? أُولَٰئِكَ كَتَبَ فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الْإِيمَانِ. Iman is written in the heart. It's stored in your heart. So Iman is what we look at. A'mal are after Iman is first. When the Iman, which is another name for Aqidah, is sorted, then the A'mal will be accepted. When the A'mal are sorted, then how is the Iman going to be accepted? So this is why we need to sort this out, inshaAllah. This is what is in relation. Yes, the Sahaba were prepared to deal with those who insulted the Messenger of Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. But within the means. Inshallah, there are 4 more questions that I will hand over to my respected Ustaz and teacher, that they will, inshallah, answer.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. Just very quickly, when the Bedouin insulted the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he alayhi salatu wasalam said, "Do not attack this man, this is not our way," does this mean that the companions never chopped the people's heads off due to the insults? So today, should we stay silent about the insults? if this is what you have understood, then this is totally wrong. I'm certainly not saying stay silent. I am saying react with wisdom, with hikmah. So if reacting with wisdom consists of us marching in the streets saying we will not have our Prophet insulted, then we will take to the streets. And if hikmah is that we take somebody to court and say we will not have you abuse our Prophet, that we take him to court. So we don't sit and do nothing about it. We do react, but you react appropriately. You react accordingly, and you react with wisdom. And wisdom means that you don't stand in your own areas, burning your own cars and attacking your own people. It is of no benefit to you. Is a bone marrow transplant permissible in Islam? Yes, it is actually permissible in Islam. There is no problem with bone marrow transplants, although that's not directly related to our subject today. My non-Muslim family asked me about how I can believe in the Prophet ﷺ when he married a child, na'udhu billah. They say, what sort of a religion is this? What is the truth about the Prophet ﷺ and his young wife, Sayyidah Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha? How can I answer my family? There is an excellent book. It's actually entitled Aisha. It's written in English, possibly translated by Sister Aisha Bewley, possibly somebody else. I will find a reference. I will get this book back to
Samim Saita.
Okay, I will inshallah get this back, the reference and this booklet back to this society. This book conclusively proves that Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha was 19 when she moved in with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So that should really resolve any issues that anybody has had. As for a child being married at the age of 16 or 17, this is not unusual. This is perhaps unusual in the West, where people don't marry until they're 60, right? So they don't. It's really, I mean, we may take this as a joke, but I know people who will live and have 5 or 6 kids, and when they're in their 60s, they say, should we get married? Now, of course, if you say to that sort of a community that somebody's going to get married at the age of 16, they consider it to be a child bride. But I used to have an Indonesian neighbor who we once asked, we said, at what age do you marry your children? He said, when the boys are old enough to chop the logs and the girls are old enough to cook the rice. They're old enough to be married. Right? And in Africa, people still get married at the age of 13 and 14. And you have to bear in mind, it's about your upbringing, right? We have our children that grow up in this country have a very childlike mentality, even at the age of 15 and 16. But when you have people when you have children in other countries, you'll find that children mature a whole lot quicker. The marriage of a child depends on the maturity of that child, and if within a community a child is mature enough to marry at a younger age, then you're mature enough to marry. You cannot judge somebody who is from outside of your own community and your own culture and lived 1400 years ago by your standards today. Right? It's unfair to do that. Could you please inform me why we should follow the 4 Imams rather than the people who can interpret the Quran and Sunnah in today's time? The reason why you follow the Imams, I think Shaykh Nu once, he wrote an article on this pretty extensively, and at the end of it he said, you're not wanting to follow an Imam is like disowning and disregarding all of the knowledge that has developed over the years. It's like you saying, I don't want a car that's built by Ford, I don't want a car that's built by Mercedes, I don't want a car that's built by any one of these manufacturers, although they've spent years and years refining what they've got. But I don't want any one of them. I'm going to go and build the car myself. In truth, what are you going to build? You're going to build a push cart. You're not going to move from where you are. You're not going to travel any distances. If you think if a person thinks that they can open up the Quran, right, and understand its verses, this is a totally failed mentality. Right? It's incredibly difficult. Incredibly. First of all, you learn, just as Imam said, first of all, you go and learn the Arabic language. إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. The Quran didn't want to be translated into foreign languages. You read translations of the Quran and you think you're reading the Quran? No. The translations you have are an approximation of what the Quran is saying. Right? Because whoever's translating it for you is translating it based on his experiences. I can give you a translation of a verse of the Quran, but I was born yesterday and I'm going to die tomorrow. And I've got 100 experiences in my life that will shape the way that I look at that verse. And I will translate it accordingly. How then can finite man, right, the one who was born yesterday, start to interpret and translate for you the infinite words of an infinite Lord? Right? It's not possible. You want to get to it. And so these people have used years, their entire lifetimes researching. And at the end of it, they've concluded and said, we haven't really scratched the surface. We haven't. And you want to develop by scrapping their work and saying, no, we're going to throw that all away and we're going to start all over again. You do not make any progress forwards. If anything, you are regressing, going backwards by 100,000 years. Right? You don't move forwards. You use the knowledge that is available to you. If you want to be a mujtahid within the madhab, but first see what the Imams had to say. Before you're critical of them, first see what they offer you. Perhaps you'll change your minds.